All right.
Let's not go down that road just yet.
All right. Am I supposed to look at you or at the camera?
We are talking to each other, so don't. We can break the fourth wall every once in a while if you want.
Okay.
But for the most part, it's just a conversation between you and myself.
Sounds lovely.
And we're talking about all the cool things that are happening in the valley.
Okay.
One thing in particular.
It's so exciting.
Tell me about it.
Well, you know a lot about it since you're a board member.
I know, but pretend that I know nothing about it.
Okay. Well, so my husband and I moved to the Bitterroot about 2 years ago, but really the story goes back even before then. We were originally from southern Utah, St. George, Utah, and we both just were kind of over being in the desert. It was just past time. And
a little hot down there?
It's really hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my husband's basically his religion is fly fishing and has been since he was a really young kid.
Oh, right on.
And his dad used to bring him up here to go fishing, and he told himself back when he was like a 12-year-old boy that someday he was going to live up here. And I grew up in northern Utah, which looks a lot more like, Ravalli County, big mountains and rivers and trees. And then I found myself down in southern Utah for about 25 years. And that's a really long time when you're not a desert person. Anyway, long story short, we started to go different places on our vacations trying to figure out where our next home was going to be. And we wandered through Hamilton on Apple Days, actually, about 5 years ago.
Right on.
And it's kind of like you're in the picture postcard, sort of Hallmark movie sort of setting. And we just both fell in love with it. And the only thing that I could think of was, how are we going to get here? Because that was kind of, real estate was kind of getting crazy. And anyway.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Well, it was more like 3 or 4 years ago. But.
Oh, well, you hit it just fine.
But yeah. Well, so we went over to the chamber and we were talking with Jody Mitchell. And I was the director of a children's museum down in St. George. Yeah. And the very first thing I asked Jody was, what kinds of activities are there for families to do? And she was like, well, we have a bounce house and we used to have a movie theater and we don't anymore. And, there wasn't a whole lot, in other words. And I was thinking, well, I know what I would want to do if I ended up living here.
Have I got an idea for you?
Yeah. So, and, we had wandered around downtown and I'd seen some of the beautiful historic buildings. The museum that I was working in at the time was housed in a beautiful historic building. And so it just sort of made sense. Like, let's bring a children's museum up here and, a building like the Firehouse might just be perfect.
The Firehouse.
Anyway.
We got our eyes on a couple others.
Yeah.
All right, so
here we are.
what exactly is a children's museum then?
It's not a museum where you put kids on display.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
I mean, you don't have kids. I know that a lot of people, even if they don't have kids, they've heard of a children's museum. It's definitely not a new concept. They can be found actually throughout the world. There's, several hundred in the United States, ranging in size from, just small, little rooms that are in a mall kind of setting to giant, huge, multi-story facilities with everything from activities from basically your newborn up to 18 years old. Just really, it runs the gamut.
Right.
So, yeah.
Lots of interactive sort of things.
They can be known as a children's museum, a discovery museum.
A children's discovery museum?
Children's discovery museum, a STEM center. Yeah. Right. So, but basically the idea is you're trying to play on the idea of play. So that's how scientifically proven play is how children learn, right? Right. So if you try to have them memorize facts and figures and, it definitely doesn't sink in like if it was just to happen organically through them discovering and interacting with their world on their level. It's been found that when kids are allowed to do those kinds of activities where they can, really be hands-on with things in their own environment, that's when all of those light bulb moments start to happen.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Those connections. So
I know that's definitely the case for me. I was never
Yeah.
the most studious individual, but when it came to like interacting with my environment, that's definitely the types of classes that
Yeah.
I excelled in.
So let me ask you.
Yeah. Turning tables.
Yes. When you were a little kid,
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the things that you thought, when I grow up, I want to be
An astronaut, a veterinarian, a lawyer, a doctor, a marine biologist, all like everything. I don't know.
Okay.
It changed on a regular basis, but it was also like it always rotated. I always wanted to do them all.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, oh, I want to do this now and not that thing. It's
Yeah.
I want to do this thing and this thing.
Right.
And this thing and this thing too. It was a little
Well, that's
all
awesome.
over the place. So I had a bit of I guess choice paralysis, as you could say. So I ended up becoming a cook.
Bad thing. Yeah. But that's not a bad thing. It sounds like either, you were exposed to a lot of different things
Mm-hmm.
so that you had things to think about and maybe like explore different career paths and ways of interacting in your environment possibly.
Yeah, there definitely wasn't it wasn't you're going to grow up and be
Right.
this thing.
Yeah.
I was very lucky that my parents let me explore a lot of different ideas. My dad really supported my sister and I with music, and we always had a variety of musical instruments around, and he has a very eclectic taste in music as well, and so we were exposed to a lot of different avenues that way. I mean, my grandfather's a woodworker. My grandmother was in childcare.
Yeah.
My other grandfather ran a Job Corps center in Oregon for a long time, and then my other grandmother was a substitute teacher. So it was like
So you had
there was a lot of variety.
different-
Yeah.
That's awesome, and I think that you are specific. I mean, you're extremely lucky that you had that opportunity to have all of that exposure to different things. I don't know if nowadays kids have that sort of opportunity as frequently.
Yeah, I mean, especially after the last couple of years too.
Especially in the last couple of years, and
Right.
especially probably in a rural area like this in the last couple of years where, economically there's a lot of parents that are having to work either longer hours or multiple jobs. The school system is getting more and more taxed as far as classroom sizes, teacher resources are abysmal. We just.
It has been even. I remember that when I was in school too.
Yeah.
That sort of thing hasn't changed, unfortunately.
And then on top of all of that, you add in the social media and the digital component.
Yeah.
You put a screen in front of a kid, and all of a sudden, that exposure is just whatever's right there in front of them, and it's definitely not a hands-on sort of.
No, it's a very
experience
very
anymore.
passive. And,
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have to
Yep.
do anything. I just
Yeah.
press a
exactly.
little button and it's. I definitely consider myself lucky for growing up in Montana. When I was 16, 17, 18, maybe not.
Maybe not so much.
I didn't consider myself so lucky because I was
Yeah.
like, this place is boring. I mean, don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
enjoyed hiking and being outdoors and all that kind of stuff, but I never, I kind of took it for granted because I never had the experience of not having it.
Right.
And so when I moved away, when I was living in places like, well, in cities, basically, when
Yeah.
I was living in New Orleans or San Antonio or San Francisco, it was just like I mean, San Francisco has the Golden Gate Park, which is really nice, but you're still surrounded by a huge city. And then when you're working in it, you're just kind of forced into it, and you have to drive an hour to go hiking somewhere. And it's not like it is here where it's just, it's just right there. Like,
right. That's true.
I can go get lost in the woods.
Hopefully not lost.
For
but yes.
in
It's called forest bathing, Ryan.
forest bathing. Oh, is this a new thing now?
Apparently.
All right.
So
Hashtag forest bathing.
yes. Yeah.
Just starting a whole new trend.
Well, I have a 17-year-old daughter that can relate very much to living in a rural area, she did come up with us and tried coming to school here. And unfortunately, she just missed her friends too much. So she moved back down to southern Utah. But, it is somewhat of a cultural desert.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately. And I know that it's getting a lot better.
And that's not to disparage on the area,
that's just... no. I mean, I wish that I had been able to grow up in an area like this, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Big cities are great, but you do get away from that, natural environment, and you do have to work a little bit harder to find your tribe, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it is challenging, and especially when you're a little bit older.
Yeah.
Too. Like,
yep.
I moved back here 2 years ago, and I'm 35 now, and I have, all my friends from high school, the majority of them don't live here anymore.
Right.
A couple of them are still around, but we're all very busy people, and a lot of them have families now, and it's kind of difficult to make that connection anymore. Yeah.
And that's sort of the thing is, you get out of high school and I hear that, there's not a lot of opportunities for jobs as if we wanted to stay in the valley, so you have to go somewhere else.
Yeah. That was my mentality too. It was I didn't see an opportunity for myself here.
Yeah.
It was where else, I got to go somewhere else.
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and work work at the gas station or work at a restaurant. I ended up working in restaurants for a career for 15 years, but that's
that was a choice you made.
That was a choice that I made, and I'm still not sure if it was the best one, but hey, it led to a lot of good experiences. What am I? I'm not going to complain about it, but
so back to children's museums, though.
Right. Yes.
The reason that I feel so passionate about bringing this to the valley, there's several reasons. One of the big reasons seems sort of strange because you'd think, you're building this museum for the little ones, right? To give them more to do. And that is not wrong. We definitely want to have more hands-on activities for the kids to do.
Sure.
But really, in a bigger scope, it's really we're building this for the caregivers, for the parents, for the grandparents, for the adults in the community to be better equipped to help those little ones to become the next leaders, hopefully in the Bitterroot, hopefully the next, city mayors and doctors that want to stay in this area, or, the plumbers. It takes everybody. Everybody plays this important role in a community like this. And I think that especially like today with the way teachers and parents are so overly burdened, just trying to just make ends meet and things like that, the rest of us really do need to pitch in a little bit more and ensure that the next generation is getting what they need.
Well, it takes a village, right?
Exactly. So
yeah, I see. Yeah. No, I think that's a great point about it. And I also see it as a good route for other parents to connect with other parents, because it seems there's also kind of a limited opportunity for, there's your school, sure.
Yep.
That's your community and your church and maybe your little neighborhood. But there's still a bunch of people throughout the valley that you might not have the chance to run into.
Right.
On any other given day, but if you have a place where your kids are going and you can run into each other there, it's another route for connection and another route to kind of bring.
And you don't know how important that is, especially as a young mom. You'll never relate to this because you don't have kids and you're not a mom.
And I'm not a mom.
But there would be a whole week would go by, and the only other adult that I would talk to really would be my husband.
Yeah.
You just sort of you're in this little bubble of childcare, right? And sometimes you just kind of need a little bit of cheerleading, maybe.
Sure,
maybe is
the
word. Just a little bit of you're doing a great job, and even if you don't know that you've got everything just perfect or everything isn't quite figured out, you're still doing an amazing job. So some of that is really, it goes a long way. And then the other part of that is, as a young parent, a lot of times you just don't really know where to turn to for the correct information, right?
Also,
and the world is just so noisy with people trying to tell you this is the right way or you should do it my way. it gets very confusing. So,
I bet.
It's nice to have somewhere that that you can turn to get accurate advice that is, going to help, not just be more noise. So, and I'm not trying to say that the Children's Museum is going to be experts. Like that's not our mission. Our mission is not to have all of the answers. It's the place where we hope to be able to steer you in the right direction to find those answers.
Yeah, foster community of...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and this valley is very lucky to have a whole lot of nonprofits that are doing amazing work where families and children are concerned. So, if there is an opportunity, which I know that there will be, when there is an opportunity to partner with these other groups, that's where I think that this is going to just shine is, we're going to actively partner with groups and get that information in front of parents and caregivers that they might not either feel comfortable getting that information or they might not even realize that they need those resources. But we'll be able to have that in a way that is, not a scary kind of place. It's just very open. Think of it kind of like a library, like a living library.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, like a colleague of mine says, we don't know what we don't know.
Yes.
Right? So
exactly.
If we have a location and a group of people that can help bring more info.
Totally.
And
That's it. It's like a no-brainer. Give the people the help they need. So...
Build it and they will come, right?
Yeah,
so
I sure hope so. Yeah.
Oh, I think they will.
Yep.
So where are we then in development? We just had a great week at the fair.
It was a great week. It was an exhausting week. As a young organization, we are definitely building that volunteer support group. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work to put on the fair. And I just want to, say thank you to Melissa Seville and all of her people over there that just really made the fair just come off without a hitch. It was a wonderful thing to be part of and to see it from the other side. I've never, been a vendor at the fair, but to actually, go and not just be visiting the little booths and everything, but actually be there and trying to interact with 30,000 people, I think is what they estimate.
Wow.
They do an amazing job. So
it's a big production for sure.
Yeah. But we talked to some amazing families and saw so many kids had fun, I hope.
Yes.
It seemed like everybody that stopped by the booth had a lot of fun.
I know the day that I was there,
Yeah.
It definitely seemed like there was a lot of curiosity, a lot of joy as well, playing in the walnut shell.
Yes.
Sandbox, as it were.
Yep. Yeah.
And
there's a lot of people that came in and after they'd sort of looked up at the sign, I didn't know we had a children's museum. Where is this? And I'd have to it's in my head. Are you going to help me build it? And they got really excited. And the next thing out of their mouth, besides, where is this, is, I can't believe that this is going to finally happen. Like, we need this so much. How can I help? So
awesome.
It was very encouraging.
Good.
So,
good.
Yeah.
I know you kicked butt. You were there every day.
Every day.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my husband is pretty much ready to have some of the horizontal surfaces all over our house, not cluttered with bee things, parade, fair. We're just on to the next event, though. So it'll just more clutter, but different events. So
it's a constant
shift.
It's
a moving project.
Yes, right?
Yeah, but I guess to get everybody kind of caught up to where we're at, we have an agreement with the Bitterroot RC&D, who is an organization here in Ravalli County. Don't ask me what RC&D stands for because I can never remember, but you can definitely go and look it up if you are interested. There's a link on our website.
That's true.
So you can go to bitterrootdiscovery.org and find out all about RC&D. But they are acting as a fiscal sponsor for the museum, which basically means that when a new nonprofit starts, they need to get their own tax ID number so that they can start being able to collect donations and do that in the appropriate manner. And it can be quite a lengthy process. It can be confusing sometimes. And we just, as a young nonprofit here in the Valley, with somebody who's not from the Valley, who doesn't have that name recognition, doesn't have those connections that a lot of other people do, I just felt that it was really important for us to start with an organization.
Oh, our studio's falling apart.
I didn't do it.
No.
But to start with an organization that had some of that name recognition and some of those resources already in place.
Right.
So with their EIN, their tax ID number, that allows us to immediately start fundraising and get that ball rolling.
Okay.
So, and they've been wonderful to work with. This, like I said, I've been in the children's museum world in the nonprofit sector for pretty much my whole adult life. So this isn't something that I am new at, but I am still new to the area.
Sure.
So in other words, I'm kind of using them to better promote the museum as
Absolutely, yeah.
An organization to take note of. So yeah.
Excellent.
So it's worked really well. So that's the first step. The second step is to start getting the word out to everybody across the county, that this is coming, this is happening, this is for everybody, not just if you have kids, little kids. We definitely want everybody to have a certain amount of buy-in.
Right, yeah.
Even if you don't have kids. So,
yeah, not only for Ravalli County, but, Western Montana in general, I think there's...
We can dream, right?
Yes. Come on, dream big.
Don't give me too much to think about because I'll just start hyperventilating. So.
All right, we'll start with Ravalli County.
Right.
We'll crush that market, and then
there you go. So, that does bring up a good point though, because up in Missoula, that would be the closest other sort of discovery museum type place.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the Spectrum Discovery area that's in the fabulous, beautiful new public library up there. And if you haven't gone, you really need to just to check it out and to see the beautiful building and the architecture. It's won awards. It's really cool. And really that was sort of what I had anticipated using as sort of a model, bringing a children's museum down to Ravalli County. Speaking with our public library here in Hamilton, they had similar goals, trying to create an environment where it was more of a community space. You come here for your public library needs, but you also have needs met if you are a young child and you need more interactive, hands-on kind of things, resources for the caregivers and parents. Unfortunately, they don't have the space for all of that to happen. So, but that's sort of the model that the Discovery Museum up in Missoula has kind of done. Partnering with the library has been an amazing thing for them. So, but they're one of our big supporters also.
Excellent.
So that's good. And I can't remember where we were going with that, but
taking over the world with
taking over the
education
world.
And
right. So besides the Spectrum, there really isn't another children's museum in Western Montana.
Yeah.
So this is definitely something that not only our area could use, but further than the Valley. Oh, that's a lot. I'm not going to think about that quite yet. I was kind of thinking about the Valley.
Well, keep it small, and we'll grow it.
Yeah.
And so we've got the website up and running.
Got the website up and running.
It is bitterrootdiscovery.org.
Yep.
And
got
you
some
can
community partners.
Find out all the information about it. You can donate there if you feel like.
Yep.
We have a big donate button on the front page.
We have donate buttons. We've got, buttons to start volunteering with us, get information on joining newsletters, just general information about sort of what our mission is and why we feel that this is the right time to pursue this. Basically anything that you could think of, I hope that I've covered. We definitely, through the model of being a nonprofit, we want to be accessible to everybody regardless of ability to pay.
Sure.
So there's information about how we intend to bring that about, how we want to work with the school system, with the homeschoolers. Really, if the answer isn't there, then get in touch with me personally, and I will see if I can help you with an answer.
Perfect.
So
And we've got a big event coming up next
Thursday.
Thursday, sorry. Excuse
Yeah.
me. Next Thursday,
On
the 14th.
14th. Yep. We're calling it Here's the Scoop. Come and get the
Oh,
scoop, guys.
clever.
So, and we're just using this as a meet and greet so that everybody who is interested can come and get to know our board members a little bit, learn more about our vision and the next steps in bringing this to our families in the county. We'll have some root beer floats. We'll have some fun games. We've got, let's see, a juggler. We've got some musical guests. We'll have sort of a mini pop-up museum exhibit.
Excellent.
So, yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
A little preview, a little
Yeah,
bit of snacks, some music, some fun.
all of that.
All
Yep.
It is starting
5 to 8.
5 to 8 on September 14th
at the Rivali Fun Center.
Okay.
I didn't know, but they have this lovely fenced-in lawn area right to the north of their building.
Beautiful.
So we'll do it out there. I've already checked the forecast, and it says it's going to be a beautiful 70-degree sunny day. So
It better be.
it will be. So, yeah, so it'll be a lot of fun. The Fun Center is generously going to be donating a portion of their drinks and their food sales from that weekend
Excellent.
back to the museum. So we appreciate them for doing that. And like I said, there's a lot of other helpers that are donating not only their time, but their expertise and, some fun prizes. And it should be a really fun event. So
Perfect.
yeah.
So if anybody out there is curious and wants to come meet the crew involved with the
Ryan
Bitter
will be
Discovery,
there.
I'll
I
be
will
there.
be there.
Anita's going to be there. Many of our other board members will
Yep.
be there
Yep.
at the Rivali Fun Center,
Yep.
September 14th at 5 to 8.
Yes. It's just
Perfect.
an open house, so come as you feel the need.
And you need to come.
Yes.
So feel that need to come.
Feel that need.
Well, excellent, Anita. Thank you so
Okay.
much. And yeah, we'll talk again soon after
Yay.
the deal goes down.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for being here.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of the Hustlin' Homes podcast. If you like what's happening here, I hope that you would give us a 5-star review on iTunes and Spotify. Leave a comment on our YouTube page. Subscribe to us there, and just share us with your friends and family. This helps boost our overall visibility and gets the word out there about what's happening here. And if you have an interesting project that you would like to talk about on this show, please give me a ring. My phone number is easily searchable. Just look for Ryan Holmes at Exit Realty, Bitterroot Valley. Thanks, and see you next time.